Special United Nations Ambassador Gerard Nsengiyumva, and have successfully completed procurement and logistics certificate program course on disaster ready, whereby I learned different sections. Let's start with the warehousing section 1. Warehousing is vital to the success of your organization's mission and operations. Warehousing begins with selecting suitable storage space, continues to distribution, and finishes with inventory disposal. The course I learned was divided into 3 points. 1. Storage requirements and selection. 2. Controlling inventory. 3. Managing inventory. In the first section, I learned the importance of calculating the space required for storing goods and equipment. Then I learned and received the guidance on selecting appropriate warehousing or storage space in accordance with the warehousing requirements. And finally, I learned and gained the understanding of the measures needed for appropriate storage and protection of goods. There are, of course, consequences of poor storage, and they include loss and waste of resources due to spoilage, theft or damage, unnecessary purchase of additional materials, budget changes to accommodate loss and damage, delayed and disrupted projects. Facility selection considerations. 1. Location of suppliers and program activities. Storage should be located in close proximity to suppliers who can receive goods with more convenience and efficiency. Then, program activities that are convenient and effective in distributing goods to beneficiaries and the communities. And transport links that bring people and items to and from the facility overland or by air. 2. Space and layout required. The facility should have enough space for the storage of goods plus an extra 30% to 55% for passageways and ventilation, loading bays, shelving requirements, and office space for warehouse and or logistics staff. 3. Building type. Warehouses should be single-floor buildings able to accommodate vehicle access, double doors for loading and unloading, good access roads for all weather types. 4. Site security. For security, a warehouse should have fencing and gates, internal or external lighting, secure locks on windows or doors. Other security items to consider include the location of neighboring buildings, the need for guards if as shared facility, the distance from the military bases or armed conflict. 5. Building condition. These are the indicators of good warehouse conditions. Dry level floor, structurally sound, weathertight, good ventilation and drainage, secure roof, doors and windows. Check for evidence of and manage rodents, insects, animals, birds. 6. Utilities. Consider the availability and ability of utilities including water, sanitation, electricity, telephone connection or cell service. 7. Staff proximity. The distance of the facility to where your staff resides is a consideration factor in any associated transportation costs. 8. Damage risk. Consider the risk of damage from fire, flooding, storms, dust, mud, military attacks, or airstrikes. 9. Price. Consider the cost to build or rent a local storage facility. Storage size. Step 1. Identify the supplies to be stored. Consider the supplies that need to be stored. This may include Watson, wash materials, NFIs or medical supplies, construction materials, other items, temporary items, furniture, documents. Step 2. Determine maximum stock level. Determine the maximum stock level needed for each item. Step 3. Determine space needed for items. Calculate the actual volume of space required for goods and equipment. 70% of the space should be for storage, 30% for space should be for passageways, handling, parking, and ventilation. Where possible, select a facility with more capacity than needed. Allow for a contingency space of 25% for unexpected or reserve stock. For example, timber and roof sheets require more space than smaller boxed items. Step 4. Analyze how items will be moved. Consider how will items be moved in the warehouse. Will you use manual labor? Will you use any mechanical aids such as trolleys, lifts, or forklifts? Step 5. Determine space and protection needed for space items. This may include medicine, food items, flammable items such as engine oil, fuel should be stored separately. Storage consideration. Store items so they are protected from possible damage or degradation. Accessible for inspection and movement can be easily recorded and checked. Ask these questions to determine the most suitable storage method. What materials are available? How much space is available? How are the items packaged and delivered? How will they be issued? How long will they be stored? Storage methods. Pallets. Advantages. Limited unpacking. Repacking. If full box or pallet loads are issued. Holds more stock for their space. Allows for easier cleaning of storage area. Disadvantages. Not all cartons on a pallet will be opened and inspected. A forklift or pallet trolley is needed to move pallets. B. Shelves. Advantages. Suitable for small medium-sized items. Easier to unpack and inspect cartons. Items can be taken directly from shelves when preparing shipments. Disadvantages. More packing and unpacking of cartons. Difficult to keep clean. Materials and spacing. A. Materials. Collaborating with the procurement team to determine the type and quantity of materials to be received. B. Spacing. Ensure sufficient space is allowed for adequate ventilation, achieving an accurate inventory, inspecting for damage and degradation, storing expected items for different projects or donors. Separate areas for goods or supplies must be stored separately. Food, supplies, fuel, oil, or chemicals. Handling and repackaging of goods. Workspace for warehouse staff to keep and update documentation. Table and chair. Storage of cleaning materials. Storage and equipment. Spare parts packaging. Garbage disposal. Storage of handling equipment, forklifts, trolleys. Damaged goods areas. Warehouse layout and design. Mark areas. Physically mark areas on the warehouse floor, for example, not to be used for storage, location of pallet storage, and shelf areas. Classify and store. Materials can be classified into groups and be stored together or in zones. Design based on storage requirements. Draw up a warehouse layout based on your storage requirements. Note that there is no correct layout. Be sure to mark the storage location for items on its stock record to save time locating items for shipment. Simplify the storage. Simplify the storage for new supplies so you can effectively use inventory clearing systems. This may include designating areas as first in, first out, FIFO, and first expiry date, first out, FIFO. Other layout considerations: ensure the minimum space between groups or stacks is 0.7 meters. The ideal space is 1.2 meters. Ensure air circulation around the materials. Maximize the lighting to discourage insects. Rotate the stock. Place older materials on top so they are used first. This also helps avoid older packaging from deteriorating and collapsing. Stack boxes and rectangular bags in alternating layers at right angles to each other. This increases the stack stability. Use wooden buttons to support long items. Example, this helps prevent timber or sheeting from bending or bowing. Make provisions for items that cannot be easily stored on shelves or pallets. Furniture, for instance. Keep heavy, bulky, frequently used needed items close to the shipping receiving door. Display labels or packing lists outward for easy visibility. Record obsolete or damaged items and store in a designated area. Do not stack goods against external walls. The external walls may be damp. Stack items too high. Stacked items a minimum height of 2.5 meters. A maximum stacking height or number may be indicated on the manufacturer's cartons or boxes. Stack items directly on the floor. Use plastic sheeting if pallets are not available. Stack materials into corners or behind stacks. Assessing storage options and rental lease agreements, temporary storage options. Share space with other organizations requires careful inventory control, clear agreements about storage, what, where, and for how long. B. Commercial storage is feasible but often expensive. C. Storage in other premises such as office space is difficult to control and protect. Inventory can have negative effects. Example, seeds could be exposed to insects or moisture. D. Semi-permanent structures such as tents does not provide adequate protection, has increased risk of theft. E. Outside storage used for building materials or tools has high risk of theft and damage. F. Building storage facility operated by local authority can be a viable option. Warehousing storage in conflicted affected areas. 1. Risk eviction. Eviction mitigation measures. Obtain a valid rental agreement. Ensure the terms for giving an eviction notice are clear and acceptable. 2. Risk theft mitigation measures. Keep details of the storage arrangements confidential. Trace effective locks and the security measures. Prevent inventory from being visible from the outside. Assess crime levels in the area. Choose a site and route in lower risk areas where possible, when possible. 3. Risk lack of suitable storage. Suitable warehousing or storage facilities may not be readily available. Lack of suitable storage mitigation measures. Change the structure where possible. Build a new warehouse storage for the longer term. 4. Risk damage. Damage mitigation methods. Select areas locations that are least vulnerable to an attack. These may include basements, although access may be difficult. Buildings not in densely populated areas. 5. Risk false documentation. Property ownership documentation may be falsified. False documentation mitigation measures. Ensure property owner provides identification. Verify the owner's identity and credibility with the local authority and other agencies. Risk 6. Risk seizure of inventory. Inventory may be seized by armed operative groups, AOGs. Seizure of inventory mitigation measures. Limit the amount of inventory held in storage. Procure inventory in batches. Select storage sites away from armed groups and the road they use. Seven, poor condition of available facilities. Poor condition of available facilities mitigation measures. Consider smaller buildings that cost less to repair and improve. Keep stock levels as low as possible. Leasing or rental agreements. Renting or leasing of property is generally covered by specialized agreements. Specialized agreements are needed for additional terms involving internal and external maintenance, subletting, security provisions, deposit payments, Templates for agreements are provided by the leasing or rental company, may be subject to derogation or waiver from competitive bidding if there is limited availability. Leasing or rental criteria: size, condition, and suitability. Layout: ability to change the structure, availability of shelving or type of floor, concrete. Location: safe, accessible, close or location to minimize transportation costs. 3. Terms: price, ability to transfer regular, monthly, quarterly payments. Lease period. Tip: resources for a baseline. If you don't have the time or resources for a baseline, you can simplify by reducing the scope of the baseline. Even in the most difficult circumstances, such as conflict environments or emergencies, the information you collect is an important way to track whether the program is having an impact. So this is section 1. Section 2 is going to be controlling inventory. Thank you very much for listening.